Hi, everyone. Ben Rigo here, joined by Daniel Woods, a.k.a. Tiger's nephew, coming to you back with Keys to the Rock. We are just a stone's throw, 20 yards away from the Port Royal Golf Course here at Carlette. This is a beautiful property in Sands, right on the border with Southampton, right next to Port Royal. We did a little golf before we came up here.
A little bit of golf. I mean, you've been doing a little bit. Your clubs were in the back of your car, mate. So you've obviously cared more about golf than podcasting recently.
Stay ready. Stay ready.
Stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Exactly. If you prep, then you're always prepared. So anyway, it was fun, mate, but we've been doing a little bit too much of that and not enough of this. And so happy to be back here at a beautiful home with so much potential. And we've got a wonderful guest today.
Yeah. So today's episode is Keys to Architecture. So we're going to be joined by the lovely Tika Gilbert of Tika Gilbert Architecture. And she is going to be sharing all the ins and outs that we need to know, especially as, you know, right now I'm seeing a lot of fixer-uppers on the market. And so it's one of those things that works out really, really great because you need to know what you're going to do, how you're going to design, how you're going to prepare a home to get ready, and all of the stages that it's going to have to go through. But as we're talking about Tika Gilbert and her being our guest for this episode, we have to give a huge shout out to Matthew Gerardo. Joshua Bates
from Joshua Bates Trading, and he was very informative last episode at Willoughby, a beautiful listing there as well. But talking all the ins and outs of what they bring in, appliances. They even, I had no idea, bring in furniture and stuff like that too.
Everything.
He's a man of many hats.
Yeah,
you know? He's opening up a lids as well, I've heard. So
what? You're just
man of many hats. By the way, speaking of dad jokes. I got thrown under the bus a little bit. By the way, I don't even have admin rights to the account. But yeah, some people might have seen on the Instagram. There was a little Ben's dad jokes good, and I believe we had 75% votes for yes.
Yes,
I did tell my wife to do a vote for yes, but thank you to the others who voted.
You rigged it. Yeah,
exactly.
4 people voted.
Yeah.
No. Your wife was one. You was another.
I thought it was 20.
And you probably have an account for your son. That's the 3 votes, and I voted no.
Let me get my 3 vote out.
But no, actually, since we're talking, and I'm getting back on topic because this is a real estate podcast, not a dad joke podcast. I'd like to just sort of get a pulse of people hidden right behind us.
Hey, wait, golf club.
Yeah. But what's the market like right now? I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, probably by the time this airs, no pressure to the crew. Hopefully it airs very soon. I dare say what the date is today, but the market is in technically a slower period, just simply due to when this is within the calendar year. So August, sort of December times of year, it is just a little bit slower. A lot of people traveling and things like that.
Yeah,
but there's even just some other new listings that over the last couple of days I've been talking with different owners about, and a lot of people are maybe tabling the idea of launching them and waiting till September.
When things pick up a bit and
then everyone's refocused, kids back in school.
Yep.
But no, the market's in a normal place that it would be in. But it's been going well.
Awesome. And so the last point that I just want to bring up, I don't know if I touched on it last time, but anyway, there's this thing called right now, it's been sort of government pushed, and I think it's just like a lot of people don't know about it, but it's something that's pretty awesome. It's called approved residential schemes. Have you heard of that, Ben?
You can inform us all.
Okay, so there's basically a few lots in different parts of the island that have been specified for redevelopment, foreign investment, all of that, where they're able to basically develop at a larger scale with benefits and different things like that to really push and promote development
in Hamilton and everything like that.
Yeah, so it's very similar to the EEZ, Economic Empowerment Zones. And so it's one of those things where they're really just trying to get some dollars and people pushing towards creating some investment properties that are really focused on just, getting direct foreign investment. So it was just one of those things where I don't think everyone knows about it. And so, I mean, reach out to myself or do your own research on your end. It's something very much pushed, and I think it's just a good opportunity for people to use group economics in a sense to sort of try to work on some deals and find these different fixer-uppers and these
And for
different
long-term, assets. I mean, my goodness, this being our 75th year in business, we have ads from way back when of whether it was a lot of land on the water or a large house, a small cottage, and it is unbelievable. Of course, back in the day, it used to be pounds, and there's places that we have old ads, in the archives where it was £20 a month, or for an actual big property, it was £5,000 to purchase and all these things. And so real estate, it's not like the stock market. Generally in Bermuda, it's, whether it goes up and down a little bit, but in terms of the long-term investment, it's always a good one. And that's kind of very much like one of the next frontiers in Bermuda. So even you, big ups to you, because I know that you recently, or I guess fairly recently, purchased a property in that kind of area. So my mate's doing well for himself. So well done.
Yeah, bless him, boy.
But a multi-unit place there. And hopefully you had a good real estate agent involved in the process. But
shout out Rachel Sodden.
And me. But anyway, and shout out Rachel. But yeah, so it's, it's great. So yeah, reach out to either of us.
And speaking of that, because I'm going to be redeveloping a bunch of units, that's somewhere where I've had to tie in an architect to come and help me out. I didn't tie in Tika. I should have, now that I'm, we're filming her. But I had to tie in an architect to sort of draw up my plans and go through all of that scope and the landscape. And we're going to be going to planning and the whole process and whatnot. But it is getting hot. The sun has come out. So with all of that said, we're going to bring our guest on. We got a bunch of questions for her. I had my awesome, he's not really my intern, but my awesome summer friend, who's studying architecture and really, really bright kid. And so he actually added in some questions that he wanted to know more information about. So I'm very excited to talk to Tika. He's very excited to meet Tika. He was like a little, like a group, like a schoolboy. I can't wait to meet Tika.
Yeah, he gets like that.
He gets like that. So here we are. And let's see. Can't wait to meet Tika. So let's bring in Tika right now. All right.
Cheers.
This is what we do. Everyone, we are back with Keys to Rock, Season 2, Episode 4, Quattro.
The Quattro. We are inside because little do people realize it. No pain, no gain. There's a lot of sweat when you put the uniform back on. I thought, I retired it for the summer, but now we're back. We're under the fan. We're under the fan.
It's only one Ben Rigo. But anywho, big thanks to our sponsors. I'm going to go through them real quick. Hamilton Legal. Love that guy. Matthew Kelly. Great guy. One Communications, they deal with my internet. They're not like, nope, I'm not going to crack that joke. And then we also have Green Light Energy. I'm going to be looking at solar soon, so I'm very excited to talk to Cam and get him to come give me a quotation of all of that detail. But anywho, big thanks to those guys. Without them, this would not be possible. And now, as we're really getting into it, we are now joined by, as you can see, our lovely guest, Tika Gilbert of Tika Gilbert Architects. This very soft-spoken lady is going to give us the rundown, and we're just going to hand the floor right over to her. Decibel levels, everyone, you might have to block your ears.
Yeah. Turn the volume up on your computers.
But
soft-spoken, but huge impact.
Yes.
Huge impact.
But
welcome.
Welcome, Tika. And we'll just start. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and what you offer.
Thank you very much for inviting me for Keys to the Rock episode today. Yes, so I'm an architect. I opened Tika Gilbert Architects a few years back. My background is interior design, so I offer interior design and architecture. And I do also offer visualization services, which I incorporate as well into my architecture and interior design.
Fantastic.
Yes.
So what are some of the biggest projects or things that you've worked on over recent times? Because I believe you were abroad as well before you came back to Bermuda.
Yeah. Actually, before moving to the UK to study, I worked with Cooper & Gardner Architects and Battlewood Architects. So I worked with quite a few projects.
Big names.
Yeah. You know, the hospital, Daniel's Head, Sonesta, when it was a Sonesta.
Yeah.
Daniel's Head was a failed architectural project, I think, unfortunately. But
You talking about me?
no, down by nine beaches. But I was talking about this architectural creation.
Yeah. So and with Battlewood, the Hamptons, I worked a lot on that, and Hamilton Princess.
Amazing.
As well, yeah.
All right, just
so and
just to name
just
a
to
few.
name a few.
Just to name a few.
Wow,
I've worked with half of Bermuda.
You know why she's soft spoken? Because she just mic drops on us. That's why.
Yeah. No,
why not?
Bad joke. But anyway, go ahead.
Hey,
yeah.
this
So
guy.
so once I started architecture, I remained in the UK for a few years, and most of the projects that I worked on was with a lot of property developers. So we worked on quite large projects, regeneration projects. So it would help something, maybe something up to 400 houses being developed
Wow.
over a period of time, and then also a few tall buildings as well. So I done a lot of specialty in residential high-end buildings.
Sure. We could use 400 houses in Bermuda right now. I will tell you that. Okay, so now, as in layman terms, just explain sort of, I guess, what is it and the role that you play? What is it that you do when it comes to, so if I'm the client and I come up to you, what is it that you are actually going to assist me with? What's the services?
Well, first of all, when someone contacts me, I like to send a email or a document back to them and just ask them a few questions. And some things they can get on my website as well. So
which is
www.tga.bm.
We're going to put that. We're going to put that in there.
Float that around.
There, let's put
we're going to make it bounce as well for extra work for the editing crew.
Yes.
TGA.bm.
.bm.
TGA.
What color of the font should we go with? For the
sort of like a light gray because I've got on black.
We're gonna make it light gray.
Yeah.
Thank you, editing team.
So back to the original question before we got into the TGA.bm, which is going to be right here, thanks to Amir, especially now. What is the role? So on the document, I know it will be like sort of the basic information, the facts and the information about the details, but what's some of the key points that need to be really collected for you to know what you're getting yourself into?
Yes. So project location, because most times it's different from the actual address, right? And then I just need a brief synopsis of what the project involves.
Yeah, what they're trying to accomplish.
Yes. The project timeline.
Yeah.
Their project timeline, and then their budget. Most important things.
I would say, I mean, even with real estate as well, you know, you talk to a seller, there's like a number that they want, but the timing of when they want to sell or when they want to move, and when they're comfortable moving out and all of that, and when they want to launch is massive. So
and some
budget
people
and
are
timing.
not even aware of how much something is going to cost.
But we'll get to that.
So yeah. So
that's down the question list, but that's massively important. So what's typically more unrealistic, the budget or the timing?
That's a good question.
Thank you, mate.
You're right.
And that was not on the list, so you know we're off the cuff.
These episodes are not scripted.
So once I receive that document, I will meet with the prospective client on site to see what's really going on, because you can have do a renovation to 3 bathrooms or something, but the house was just built 10, 15 years ago. So it was modern back then, but it needs to be upgraded for modern today. But then you can have a house that was done in the 1960s, right? And it requires more work.
Yeah.
And I think
change the pipes, everything. It's just full gut. Yeah.
Probably not an issue, but it's probably also brings more business to all of our trades. But, you know, the popularity of all these different real estate TV shows or like HGTV, like home flipping and all of that. Yeah. Of course, it's way more difficult, you know, all these walls in this house, they're not all drywall. Yeah. So you can't just be like move
No.
that bus, and in a weekend
That's what I was
it's gonna be a different house.
I was thinking
But
that.
but yeah, I mean, so when you're in that position as an architect, like I'm sure you have your own preferred style for your own family, but when
Yeah.
you are, how difficult is it to sort of embody the wishes and desires and the tastes of someone who might like overly modern or overly traditional or somewhere in the middle? So is that difficult?
I like to spend some time with them and say, you know, what is it that you like? They can probably show me a faucet and like, I love this faucet. So we design everything around
Yeah.
that faucet, you know?
Yeah.
And some people say, we want something just like the old traditional Bermuda home.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be flexible. You have to have the knowledge to be able to go between those different designs. You got someone else that, but I went to Greece and I want my house to be just like that.
You got to
Yeah.
sort of meet people where they're at type
Yeah.
thing a little
Yeah.
bit, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so since Ben asked 2 questions, I'm going to ask 2 questions. Not that we keep count or score or anything like that. But so my first question would be is, from my valuation standpoint, do you take into consideration things that would essentially add value to the property versus, you know, the wants and need? Like we mentioned faucets earlier. In my head, faucets isn't going to be a game changer for evaluation.
You've never seen
No.
some faucets, mate, but some of them are game changers.
And
Most of them are not.
So I'll ask that question first, and then hopefully Ben lets me ask my second question before he butts in.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, like I recently redesigned someone's house and it was very, very old and had a Italian style interiors and whatnot. And so the clients came in and said, we want to modernize this whole thing because we are thinking about in whatever years down the road, we may want to sell it or we may want to rent it out.
Yeah.
So, you know, what about the kitchen
Got to keep
and
that.
the
Yeah.
bathrooms and whatnot? And how do we try to open up the space? Because now we don't want just 3-foot door openings everywhere. Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
You want to try
Compartmentalized.
and
Yeah.
open things up because you want to speak to that person and that person.
Yes.
You want everything
You know?
within eyesight, right?
Yeah.
Especially like kids and things like
Yeah.
that.
And so there's little things
Do factor
value.
in. Yeah, no, for sure.
Value.
And then so my next question was, and it's funny you just mentioned it, about people modernizing properties. What would you consider sort of the latest trends per se that you see maybe across Bermuda or just generally speaking, in terms of like, you know, what does that look like, right? Like, you know, like I want to modernize this property. Is there something that everyone is doing now, and that's the go-to thing?
Everyone's going to neutral colors, and that allows them to bring in furniture and other little pieces that can uplift it however they want to. You know, bring in color if they wanted to make it seem like they're out on the beach, a cottage, or something like that. They can dress it up with color.
Okay. Any other bathrooms or cabinets or countertops or something?
Faucets.
People are starting to go with color.
Yeah.
Two-tone colors.
Okay.
People are starting to bring in textures. We're not seeing much tile in the kitchen.
Yeah.
We're doing slabs the same as the countertop.
Okay.
And people are starting to see.
When you say tile, you're talking about the backsplashes
The
and stuff?
backsplashes.
Okay, yeah, cool. Just
Yeah. So
clarity for the audience. I knew what
Yeah.
you was talking about.
So
I'm
that's
proud of you
saying-
knowing backsplash, but anyway.
I watch TV, HGTV.
Yeah. So that same material you see on the countertop for just
Smash right in.
and it's easy to clean. People don't like to see lines anymore.
Yeah,
So
grout
that's-
and stuff like that. It's just sort of I can imagine.
And they're bringing in for bathrooms. They're bringing in a large slab,
Yeah.
tiled knob,
Yeah,
5 feet by.
just covers
Even
everything.
like for
Nice.
fireplace mantles and above them, you know, I've seen lots
Yeah.
of that as well, which looks
Yeah.
great. Yeah. Do you want a
Everyone's-
third question, Mr. Woods? Or
So,
you're on a bit of a roll?
ooh, I'm speeding.
Tiger.
So, my third question. I'll just
I'll
let me
just-
think about
I'll
it.
just
Go
sit.
ahead.
I'll just be like a mute mime over here.
All right.
But no, what I was going to get to is, you know, I'm sure it's a lot different when you're started from scratch and you know, for the most part, everything that is being, you know, built and exactly what's going to be. But then when you're renovating an existing home, you know, sometimes how things look, especially if it's an older house, how it looks on the drawings. And then when you get to the construction phase and dig beneath the surface, or, you know, the roof comes down to push up the ceiling height and you're like, oh, we didn't realize that was there. You know, what are some of the challenges that I'm assuming from the renovation side of things happens more than the brand new build?
I would always tell clients, and this is why we deal with quantity surveyors, right?
Yeah.
Because we need to allow for that 15% or whatnot for those things that you can see.
Yep.
Season 2,
Right?
episode 2, episode 2.
Yep.
Quantity surveyor Robert Richardson,
Yes.
Compound Property Group. Go watch
Look
that.
them up, like them.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, for instance, I met with
Robert.
Daniel,
Yeah.
you and Robert.
I wasn't there, but Robert. I was there.
Not too long ago
Mhm.
on a very old listed building.
Wow.
Listed
Right.
building. Mm.
And
Great
can you just
one.
explain for the watching viewers and for Daniel what listed properties are?
For Dante.
It's
Yeah, for Dante in the background.
For, it's a very old historical home.
Mm.
And so a lot of the exterior you can't touch,
Mm.
right? The windows you can't touch.
And there's grade 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So we've got a grade 1 listed building.
Wow.
And so we was thinking that we can add on certain places, but we couldn't because the protected areas was like facades, the north and
Right.
south or something like that. Right. But then you've gone inside and you've got wooden floors that are deteriorating. We need to fix it up. You know, what happens? But we still need to replace it
Mhm.
and still make it look like
How
the
it was,
original.
yeah.
Yeah.
Weather it and
And
stuff,
then
yeah.
you add on your addition
Mhm.
to complement what was there before.
So that's very challenging, but probably even more rewarding probably when you can accomplish something like that, because you're like an artist in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got to
Yeah.
really go handpick sort of, because when you deal with a listed building, because of what the grade that you have to put it back to and the resemblance that it has to reflect, you have to really try to, and from an architectural
you have to be
interior,
very sensitive.
you have to
Yeah.
source in those items. You have to be very particular, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, this doesn't bring me to my next question. I'm not reading off a list, but kitchens and bathrooms, hot ticket item, as we mentioned earlier.
Yes.
Those are like
The most expensive.
most expensive, and at the same time, from a valuation standpoint, you know, that's some of the key things that get looked at, right? Because those are the common spaces
Mm-hmm.
per se, right? Like in my reports, those are the ones that we take the pictures of,
Yeah.
because those are the common spaces, and what state those are in essentially can reflect, you know.
Well, people deduct, unfortunately, you know, every list price for a property for sale really and truly should be in the current existing condition.
Yeah.
You know, you don't, but a lot of the time, unfortunately, buyers will be like, oh, I need to do 50 grand in the kitchen. I need to do 10 grand in the bathroom.
Yep.
And then they're like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
they take it off the price, but that's not how real estate works. But that's what a buyer does.
Yeah.
But that's not what a seller
But
does.
it's
But-
true though. Yeah.
But, you
But
know,
you think
people add
those-
up those costs.
Those things are fixed already, right?
Yes.
You're not
exactly.
moving in, and it's not a sofa, so
Yeah.
you can't take it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if it
Every
had a
time you
nice
move.
kitchen, the price wouldn't be this. It would be higher. you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um,
It's a big thing. As soon as people walk in, it's like, oh, that's kitchen's got to go. We just need to take
that's the most
everything
important
out,
room in the house,
right?
the
And the
kitchen.
bathrooms.
And even talking to Gerardo Matthew on the previous episode,
Yeah.
some of the prices and the different, you know, what he went through, and it's so much more information that I didn't realize
Mhm.
initially,
Mhm.
into just the spectrum.
The
of
lifespan of the appliances and
Yeah.
bang for buck, and even just the elements in Bermuda,
Yeah.
even getting parts for certain things. You know, there's a
Yeah.
lot of different
Yeah.
things to
And
consider.
we bring everything in.
Yeah.
Right? The weather out there is different.
Yeah.
So you really need to work with someone that knows the island.
Mhm.
locally trusted
Right,
sort of
because
vendor.
the humidity, once that stuff comes in, it takes a couple of months to
Mhm.
try to adjust to the weather here.
Yeah.
So
Outdoor furniture as well. I mean, it might look great in a magazine in Florida, but
yeah,
it's not going to look good after
Yeah.
one summer and winter outside here.
especially if
you
you're
know.
close to the water side
Yep.
or the salt water,
Yeah.
So-
salt spray.
Yeah.
So another question, and this is more for the listening audience and actually myself, because I've told myself I'm going to be a DIY guy, but that hasn't really materialized.
Do it yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I assume everyone knows what DIY. Anyway, what is from an architectural or interior design standpoint, what's some like tidbits that you might be able to share in terms of DIY little bits and pieces that someone might be able to do to enhance the property value, or some stuff that you might say, oh, actually, you might not need a contractor for this. This is where you can cut down on cost or some, you know.
You can do the painting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's probably the most return for that's one of the things that gives off the biggest return of investment.
Yeah.
I'd say landscaping as well. I mean,
painting
just like landscape. So
yeah.
that's, I guess,
You can
piggybacking
also
on that.
Curb appeal,
But
right?
like landscape architecture, I mean, I guess is that something that they teach as well in terms of architecture? Like,
yeah, but if you're thinking, do I do it yourself?
Yeah.
Right.
That's difficult. You know, there's
You
only
want-
so
you
many
want
trips to
some-
Aberfeldy
Yeah.
thinking that you're nice.
You
with
want something really
planting the tree.
good, right? So keep the DIY to a minimum.
Yeah.
If you want something really good,
Mm-hmm.
and bring in an interior design or an architect.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's what I would say. Do the
Don't,
really simple
so what you
things.
just said is don't do DIY.
Keep
Un-
it simple.
unless-
Keep it
unless you're
simple.
a contractor.
KISS. Keep it
Unless you're a
simple.
contractor and you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because you can walk in and, I went to so-and-so's house and I saw this arch and I think I'm going to open up this and I'm going to do this arch.
Yeah.
That arch is no longer an arch anymore. If you're doing it yourself
Yeah.
and you don't know what you're doing, that thing's
Yeah.
going like this.
And I should also
Instead
say,
of-
especially when it comes to things on the exterior, there's often issues in selling properties when people think that they really are nice in the DIY world and they might have done an extension or something illegally without planning approval. And then
Yeah.
that is a big issue in sales. And then that opens up a can of worms, and that's for another day. But
Yeah.
I'm sure you come across that where you
Yes.
need to fix bad DIY,
Mhm. Yeah.
So,
And you kind of nicely just have to let the client know this is what we need to work on
yeah.
in order to bring the value up,
Yeah.
to get things to work.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Any
Okay.
more questions, Glenn?
No more questions. I mean,
You have questions?
architecture is build it and they will come. It's a very, but it's an ever changing thing. What I love about it is it's fluid, right? And that's what's amazing. So it's super important. And,
Yes.
thank you so much for joining us.
No, actually,
Thank you.
we do have more questions.
We do.
Remember earlier I mentioned the summer student friend. Does he have any questions?
Behind the scenes.
So you do.
What's a question that you might have? This is Trey Kane speaking.
One of the big things that I've always experienced, like in my short time,
Repeat it.
One of the big things that I've always experienced in my short time, I'm just repeating what he says. I don't know if the mic will pick it up. We've got a mic over there.
one of the big things I've always experienced in my short time as an architectural assistant is sort of balancing client expectations with realistic timelines and outcomes. How do you, in your day-to-day work life, sort of balance that in projects?
I think it happens a lot because you're dealing with so many other different disciplines or consultants. And so I always let them know ahead of time what the timeline is going to be. So once the project comes in, I do a timeline to let them know exactly what's going on. And when that time comes and if something hasn't come through yet, just let them know. It helps them
Manage expectations. Yeah.
Yeah, they may be frustrated, but they understand that we are doing the best we can to push things through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's very big
Yeah.
in project management too, right? The same. I mean, it's the same
Yeah.
thing really. Give them as much notice as possible. When you find out, they find out. Communication is
Yeah.
key.
Communication
And
is
just
key.
really
Yeah.
just manage expectations. So even when things are going to take, it's going to take planning this long to turn around. It's going to take them 3 weeks. You say 4 weeks or 5
Mhm.
weeks. And then it's not, oh my God, it didn't happen in 3 weeks. It's, oh, it happened in 3 weeks and they was expecting 5 weeks. But
Yeah.
no, awesome question.
Yeah.
Thank you, Trey.
Thank you from the audience.
We got an audience at Keys to the Rock.
We've got a few audience
Dante,
members
should we
today.
put you on the spot?
Yeah.
No, Dante says he's good. He's good. He's good.
First time here.
First time, yeah. And so I think on that note, I think Tika, it's been lovely to see you.
Thank you for inviting me.
Again.
Yep.
You guys didn't know about the first one, see? But
Did you hear me?
Yeah.
We did hear you.
We hear you loud and clear.
But
if people didn't hear you loud and clear, we will definitely have your contact details. We can do the gray font, and it can float around like a butterfly. And but thank you so much for joining us, and looking forward to collaborating on things more in the future.
future projects,
Yes.
yeah. Tika Gilbert.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi guys, welcome back to Keys to the Rock. Thank you so very much to Tika Gilbert of Tika Gilbert Architects. She gave us some very insightful knowledge about everything to do with building, redeveloping, renovating, everything under the sun. And I found it very informative.
Yeah, the entire process, everything that people have to go through, whatnot. I mean, it's just like, I think we've come up with some awesome, and I'm skipping steps here because I know we just talked about it, but what's your key to the episode? We didn't even do this last time, I don't think. So
I'm not sure if we did, but
what's your key to the episode?
My key to the episode would probably be, managing the expectations of the budget and the timing of the client, right? Or ourselves,
vice versa, right? Yep.
Being the client, and how incredibly important that is. The cost of construction is up, and who knows when that'll come back down or level out. Supply chain, it takes longer, everything's more expensive, and so I think we really need to be mindful of that. And certainly maybe someone who's had a house for a long time and now we're deciding to renovate, renovating that bathroom 10, 20 years ago is probably double the cost today. So that's my biggest key takeaway. What about you?
For me, it would be from the valuation standpoint and the value standpoint, I guess. It would be keeping things a little neutral and just a little bit more not so specialized and unique to your own sort of personality and your own preferences. That way, if, exit strategy for whatever reason, you want to sell the house, want to move on from the property, or you have to rent it, or whatever the case is, it is not so...
For long-term asset value. I mean, that's better than... you're a big neon green guy, and everyone knows it, everyone talks about it. But for you putting that in your kitchen... not everyone's going to like that. So it's better for you to be a little bit more neutral to get to appeal to the most amount of buyers or potential renters.
Yeah, no, 100%. Speaking of neon green, I forgot to do this earlier, but I have to congratulate you on Best of Bermuda.
Neon green?
I don't know, but it ties in, right? So you've won, I think this is either 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 5. So just a kudos and congratulations to you.
Thank you.
We're all clapping. We're all clapping. We're all clapping. Amir?
Yeah. But, no, thank you, mate. But the funny thing about those sort of awards, and obviously thank you to the Bermudian magazine and everything, but when you win, it's nice and it shows a lot of hard work and all the stuff that, how it is behind the scenes and everything like that. And when you lose, it's like, oh, well, popularity contest, who was voting on the day. But and a lot of people know that, but really and truly, I think no matter who the winner is next year, 5 years ago, and forever in the future, whether you are a coffee shop.
And all the awards,
everyone at least clearly is on the tip of someone's tongue, whether it's the panelists or the voters, because you're doing a good job. So, congrats to all the winners.
And I know how hard you work, so there's kudos to you, sincerely. And as we're switching gears now a little bit, we want to do a huge shout out to the sponsors.
Lime Green Light Energy. They are one of the sponsors. So just tying in your
75%. 75% liked your dad jokes. Anyway, Green Light Energy. Green Light Energy, One Communications, and Hamilton Legal. Man, you guys are awesome. And I know it took us a while to get this back up and running. So I appreciate you guys sticking by us. We got to remake communication.
Yeah.
We're not, hope that you're still sticking by us. But
we're not good enough at golf, so we're definitely, we've got a lot of episodes in the queue. Yeah. And so we're, drip feeding those out to you all, and got some amazing guests and properties and everything like that to come.
Yeah.
And certainly, as we always say, if there's ever any sponsors who obviously want to be on the episode, talk about their business, or even just individuals or different businesses, more than happy to have that. Definitely always happy to have different guests in the crowd, as we've done today, and people who can ask questions. And big thanks to the team behind the lenses.
Yes.
So
Yeah, I think, is that everything?
I think that's everything. Thank
Amir,
you,
anything
Mom.
else? No? Oh, small business shout out.
Yeah,
So we're actually not going to do a small business shout out.
I'm not sure if it's a business.
Well, we made some money off our first event.
Was that the intention?
Yeah.
Hopefully not. So anyway, I don't. What do you call? What do you call?
Don't act like you don't know the name.
Honestly, it's slipping my mind. You run.
Grateful Miles Run
Grateful
Club.
Miles.
Grateful Miles Run Club.
Yeah, so
you should
you-
come out sometime.
I would be up for it. Sure. So,
He lied. He just lied.
I would.
Bold-faced lie.
Yeah. But yeah. So no, talk about that.
So
Great
yeah,
group of
no, we
people behind all
started.
that.
Yeah, we started a run club, Grateful Miles Run Club, and it's just really been a social running club. Man. It's been fantastic. Most recent run had about 100 people out. Be a great place for you to come network and hand out business cards.
It's not the intention. I'm not there to make money. I'm there to just be grateful for the miles, mate. So, but no, that's
But
great.
no,
And so
it's been awesome. So we had our first event. We got some sponsors lined up, and we're just, Sunday mornings we've been running at 6:30, or stretching at 6:30, and then taking off around 7.
Wow.
And
have to close down some roads eventually.
No, yeah, 100 people. So we've had to be very particular about parking and where we're going to be located, because it's just been that in demand. It's very popular in other places around the world. So
Yeah.
but
Well, give a follow, because I do follow the Instagram page, and
Yeah.
so yeah, and shout out
Amir's got his arms crossed, so I think it's time for us to back this up.
Yep, exactly. So anyway, once again, another episode. Ben Rigo, Daniel Woods. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to the guest, and looking forward for more. So cheers.
Like, follow, and share. Have a great night.
Bye bye.
I got last word.